Hello friends. Today we are going to discuss about medical negligence from the perspective of Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita 2023. I am Dr. Suresh Badadmat, Professor of Psychiatry, working at National Institute of Mental Health and Neurosciences, Bangalore. In this video, I'll be discussing about medical negligence. What are the provisions which were there under Indian Penal Code, that is Section 304A, Section 336, 337, and 338. I'll also be discussing about what are the medical negligence provision under Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, that is Section 106 and 125. What are the differences will be discussed. If you look at the medical negligence and Indian Penal Code, under that IPC 304A clearly discussed about death due to rash and negligent act, which stated that causing the death of any person by doing any rash or negligent act which does not amount to culpable homicide is punishable offense. The punishment is for 2 years or fine, or both of them can be given. Further, Indian Penal Code Section 336 talked about rash or negligent act endangering human life. In this, the punishment was either 3 months or a fine of 250 rupees, or it can be both. Indian Penal Code Section 337 discussed about causing hurt to any person by doing any rash or negligent act as would have endangered human life. Here the imprisonment is for 6 months or a fine of 500 rupees or both. Similarly, Indian Penal Code Section 338 discussed about causing grievous injury or hurt to any person by doing any rash and negligent act so as to endanger human life. Here the imprisonment for 2 years or a fine of 100,000 rupees or both. This was there under Indian Penal Code. Now the question is, in the new Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita Act 2023, what are the provisions under the medical negligence? Are they same? Are they different? Are they have any provisions so that the doctor's medical negligence can be accommodated? There was a wide discussion in the parliament and also by the Indian Medical Association, which had urged the government that the doctor should not be charged for death due to medical negligence. So let's look into what are the provisions under Section 106 under Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita. Section 106 clearly mentions this: whoever causes death of any person by doing any rash or negligent act not amounting to culpable homicide shall be punished with the imprisonment of either a description of a term which may extend to 5 years and also liable to fine. This is for general public at large. However, this clause also gives reservation for the doctors. What does it? If such act, that is death due to rash and negligent act, is done by a registered medical practitioner while performing medical procedure, he shall be punished with the imprisonment either a description of for a term which may extend up to 2 years and shall also be liable to fine. So my dear friends, the doctors are not allowed to walk away if there is a death due to medical negligence. Further, Section 125 of BNS talks about whoever does any act so rashly or negligently which causes the endangering of human life or the personal safety of others shall be punished with an imprisonment of either a description of terms which may extend up to 3 months or with a fine of 2,500 rupees or with both. If you look at the Section 125, subsection A. Here, where the hurt is caused because of the rash and negligent act shall be punished with an imprisonment of either a description of a term which may extend up to 6 months or with a fine of 5,000 rupees, or it can be both. Section 125B talks about if there is a grievous injury is caused because of the rash and negligent act, that person shall be punished with an imprisonment of either a description of a term which may extend up to 3 years or with a fine of 10,000 rupees or with both. So, BNS is very clear. There is no exemptions have been given to the doctors for medical negligence either causing simple injury, grievous injury, or death. So, my dear friends, you have to be very clear. BNS 106 clearly talks about death by rash and negligent act punishable up to 2 years. Whereas BNS 125 causing grievous injury, then the punishment is 3 years. So it looks slightly funny. If there is a death because of rash and negligent act, it is only 2 years for the doctors. If it is a grievous injury, it is only 3 years. So that means this requires amendment with regard to BNS 125. Here, again, the exemptions have to be given to the doctor. It may be 1 year. Similar to BNS 106, which has been reduced from 5 years to 2 years, here from 3 years, it has to be reduced. Otherwise, imagine if a doctor causes a grievous injury and there is a medical negligence, then the option to kill him and to get punished for 2 years, or else with grievous injury 3 years. So there is a difficulty in this area. To conclude, my dear friends, Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita 2023 does not provide any blanket exemption to doctors in case of medical negligence. Instead, it prescribes maximum 2-year imprisonment with fine. There is a need to amend Section 125, that is grievous injury causing rash and negligent act. Because of rash and that means from 3 years it has to be reduced. If you look at this chart, you can understand if there is a death under Indian Penal Code, it was 2 years or fine or both. Whereas in the BNS now, it is clear 2 years with fine. For endangering life because of rash and negligent act, the punishment is same 3 years, 3 months, and fine it was earlier in IPC 250 rupees. It has been increased to 2,500 rupees. Similarly, with regard to hurt, the punishment is 6 months, whereas the fine has been increased from 500 rupees to 5,000. That is 10 times increase is there. Similarly, with regard to grievous injury, the punishment was 2 years, whereas here it has been increased to 3 years. So that means the grievous injury compared to death is more. That needs amendment. Thank you very much for giving your valuable time. Stay safe.